Hey, it's me, Raika. Today we're going to have a look at the brand new Draconis hero, Hildwin, the Crimson Sovereign. Now, this hero wears cloth-based gear, is part of the mage class, and his primary role is to provide a significant amount of control, utility, and screen-wide damage for your teammates. Now, because this hero is similar to an awakened hero, he starts off immediately as legendary tier. Now, you'll need 3 copies of the same hero in order to get them to the next tier. So let's have a look at this hero's abilities. His ultimate ability, Searing Wind. Now, whenever Draconis based heroes use their ultimate ability, they will transform into their dragon form and use these attributes associated with it. So let's have a look. When Hildwin enters the battlefield, he summons 3 magic circles of draconic flames. Flaming magic circles launch fireballs every 6 seconds, dealing damage to enemies in their path. Now, these little patches will appear on the ground and they will fire projectiles which will pierce multiple targets at a time. When it is activated, Hildwin shifts into his dragon form, summoning tornadoes of draconic flame in the center of the battlefield that deal damage to all enemies. Flaming magic circle causes flames to rain down from the sky, dealing dragon speak damage to all enemies. The flames energize the magic circles, reducing their attack frequency and increasing the power of the next 3 fireballs by 50%. So essentially, you'll be doing a massive amount of single target and AoE damage at the same time. The level 2. Draconic flames pull enemies towards the center of battlefield. So if you can pull all 5 enemies on top of one another, you'll deal AoE damage to all of them at the same time. The level 3. At the start of battle, Hildwin changes the atmosphere to a state of magic disruption, causing all intelligence-based heroes, excluding himself, to be unable to perceive magical elements, reducing damage they deal by 10%. So this is great against intelligence-based bosses where it will reduce incoming damage for your allies. Additionally, after each time Hildwin uses his ultimate, damage is further reduced by 5% up to a maximum of 20%. So this can be 30% damage reduction for your entire team. The energy recovery rate of all enemy intelligence based heroes will be reduced by 30%. So this is an extra utility based item that he receives and can be applied onto the enemies. His next ability, Flame Snare. So this is a little stun based effect. Hildwin's normal attacks will prioritize the enemy with the smallest angle relative to him. So this is enemies that are standing directly opposite. After Hildwin lands 2 hits on a target, they become ensnared in flames. Instead, enemies are immobilized for 1 second and take damage equal to 160% of his attack rating every second. The level 2 and 3 increase this damage all the way to 250%, and the level 4, enemies are ensnared for 2 seconds. His next ability, Magma Slam. Hildwin gathers power and slams the earth with his staff, causing ground to collapse beneath the enemy farthest from him. So this is a little rocks that will appear out of the ground and immediately interrupt the enemies. The enemy takes damage equal to 320% of his attack range and is knocked into the air. At the same time, all of the enemy's shields are removed and they cannot receive another shield for 3 seconds. So he can counter enemy-based shield teams. The level 2, the target is stunned for 2 seconds. So in addition to the knock up, the enemy will be stunned as well. The level 3, after entering battlefield, he will prioritize triggering a skill effect on an enemy positioned directly opposite him. So this is the angle where the enemy is directly in front of him. And the level 4, when using an active skill, so this is any of his abilities, Hildwin additionally selects the nearest enemy hero as a target for this particular skill. So this is the stun and the rocks that come out of the ground. So his next ability over here, Arcane Insight. Hildwin has a profound understanding of all of the world's magic. For every strike of damage he takes from enemy heroes, future damage from the same skill will be reduced by 10%, up to a maximum of 40%. Every 12 seconds, Hildwin and the ally of the lowest health will be given a shield worth of 600% of Hildwin's attack rating for 6 seconds, so this is extra utility. For the duration of the shield, the damage reduction from the skill is increased by 20%. So in addition to the damage reduction from his ultimate, your allies will also gain an additional 20% damage reduction as well. Level 2. Within 2 seconds of obtaining a shield, Hildwin is immune to control effects. Level 3. Allied heroes with shields will temporarily share Hildwin's knowledge and gain the damage reduction effect of 20% as well. So as we can see, this is a massive amount of damage reduction for your allies. And the level 4 unlock, Hildwin gains knowledge from the lessons of others. When allied heroes receive damage from enemy heroes, Hildwin's knowledge increases and the maximum damage reduction of their skills increased from 40% to 60% damage reduction from that particular allied hero. So if this is a boss and you place Hildwin on your team, he will not only reduce damage for himself, but for the entire team as well. So this is a massive power up that this allied hero can provide for your teammates. So those are all his skills and abilities. So let's have a look at how he does in battle. So we're going to start off with the training dummy right over here. So as soon as you start battle, he'll immediately cast these 3 little insignias on the ground. Now they'll shoot these little projectiles which will pierce every single enemy hero on the battlefield. Now, as we can see, we saw multiple effects happen on this enemy hero. They were ensnared, and this enemy hero was ensnared as well. In addition, we can see enemies are flying into the air. This is the rock-based effect that is pushing them up into the sky, stunning them for 2 seconds, and allowing Hildwin to continually deal damage. Now, as we can see, he's also providing utility, such as shields for his teammates and damage reduction as well. So let's have a look at his ultimate based ability. Now, what he'll do, he'll fly into the air by transforming into his dragon form, pull the enemies together, and deal massive amounts of damage to all of the enemy targets. Now, if you can group all these enemy heroes, then these projectiles from his insignia will strike multiple targets. Essentially, all 3 targets will hit all 5 enemies at the same time. So let's have a look at how he does at a much higher level deficit. Now, because he has a lot of damage reduction that he provides for himself and for his teammates, he can easily be placed on the front line, as in this case, we can see he's placed with Awakened Brutus, and he can survive the incoming damage. Now, in many of these cases, if you pair him up with another mage, the other mage will deal close to 0 damage. Now, that is why you need to put him in or with allied heroes such as tanks, warriors, rangers, or support, as they'll greatly benefit from the damage reduction and the extra effects that Hildwin provides. So let's have a look at how he does in this battle over here. Now, in many cases, he can out-damage allied heroes, even if they are meta, because of his screen-wide damage that he provides. So as we can see, multiple enemy targets are being hit by his projectiles. The like over here is being ensnared, and now has died because of Hildwin's attacks. Now Hildwin has transformed into his dragon form, pulled all the enemies, and did massive screen-wide damage as well. Now this hero does well in the front line, however, he can also do well on the back line as well. So what is the minimum investment that I would recommend into this allied hero? Now I would highly recommend getting his 30 SI, 60 engravings, and 9 furniture, as this fully unlocks all of his kit, similar to other Awakened heroes, as this will give him all the necessary damage buffs and scaling necessary in order to compete with other Awakened heroes, and in many cases out damage and provide even more utility than many other heroes currently available in the game.